Okay, it is High Flow Spritz and Spray. Take 450. Action.
450 feels like 550.
And I always look at you when I say action.
I know, because that's my cue to do something. So, High Flow Acrylics are a golden product that are meant to be used in an air thingy.
I'm gonna let you struggle.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There are tire tracks on my chest from the bus you just threw me under.
Hey, I'm trying to think of it too. An airbrush.
Thank you. That's what you. But they're good for all kinds of fun things. And one of the things that we decided to do was put them in a bottle with water and see what we could do. And it turned out pretty interesting. I mean, I'm going to show you spraying with them through a stencil, which is a very common thing that you would do with sprays. But then we played a little bit and we discovered that if you put them on a gel plate and you added some alcohol, you got a whole lot of magic.
A lot of magic.
Spreads the paint and it disperses it and it creates really watery effects where there's more paint in the alcohol. It's actually pretty interesting. And before we get started, your plate may look like this when it's done.
This is the disclaimer.
Yes.
You may end up with this.
And that's okay. I mean, the discoloration in no way affects the way the plate works, but she's going to show you how you can clean it with baby oil, and that will take the color off. And if you feel uncomfortable using a plate that looks like that, then we can remedy that. It's easy enough to do.
I kind of like the plate looking like that.
Yeah, it's pretty. You know, otherwise it's clear and you only see what's underneath it. This way you get all kinds of color. But the real important part is what Elizabeth is going to demo, which is when we spritz this on a gel plate and then add alcohol, and the magic just happens.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm excited to share it with you. But I do want to make that point about cleaning it. I'm going to show you how to clean it. And that applies to any kind of stain that you have on your plate. So if you've got Posca pens or other stuff that has stained your plate, I'm going to show you how to clean it off. So that's awesome too. That's the bonus.
Yes, it's a bonus.
That's the bonus.
Shall we go get started with the others? Oh,
yeah, but I wanted to show one thing.
Right. Okay.
So my print in the demo was wet at the end of the demo. So now it's dry, and I just want to show you what my demo print looks like. When it dries, it's like a lot more obvious, the effect of the alcohol. And then I want to show you the back. Check this out. Because it absorbs all the way through the rice paper, now we've got two different options for collage sheet. This one being more pink, magenta, this one being more bluish, whatever. So it's like getting two pieces of paper for one.
And if you tear that, the edges are not going to be white wherever it's not white, right?
You're so right. And I hate to tear it because it's so pretty, but let's be honest, I'm going to tear it anyway. So, anyway, so yeah, when you tear this, because the color is soaked all the way through, you don't get white edges. So how awesome is that? Right? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So want to go show them how to do it?
Sure.
Okay. So we have this super exciting, fun, interesting, unique, awesome technique for you today. That was a mouthful.
It was.
And we are working on our 9x12 gel plate. And I just have to give us a little plug because this is a Barbara Joggles and Elizabeth Paper Paintings creation and product. And that's pretty cool.
Well, we got the plate done, but you designed the artwork for the insert, which is the thing that's really, I mean, the plate is marvelous, but it's not much to look at. The insert, however, is something entirely different.
The insert is marvelous, yes. But the plate is also marvelous because it's 9x12. So anyway, if you don't have your 9x12 plate from Barbara Joggles and Elizabeth Paper Paintings, you need to get on it. All right, so what we're doing today is we are spraying golden High Flow acrylic paint. And we're spraying it because Barb added it to these Mister bottles, these Ranger Mister bottles, and some water. But I know the next question on everybody's lips is going to be how much water, paint to ratio. So I'll let you talk about that. Can
I just say I winged it?
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, I would say it's probably about 30% water, to, 30% pigment to the rest water. I mean, it's a little less than half and half. You can go as much as you want. It depends on how dark you want the final outcome to be. The more water you add, the lighter it's going to be.
There you go. So yeah, you got to mess with it. It's kind of, that's a good point. It's a personal preference. So you can use more water, less water, but it's water with the paint in the mist or spray bottles. So we've got quinacridone magenta, indigo anthracnone blue, and this one is teal. And then we've also got a icing on top that is iridescent gold fine. So, okay. So here we go. Oh, and also we're using alcohol. This is the 91% alcohol. And did you know that the difference between the 70 and the 91, because my kid is a tattoo artist, they can only use the 70 because the 91 dries too fast. Something about it evaporates too fast, right, or faster.
There's more water in the 70, so
yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah, so I think you can do this with either, whatever you have on hand, because we're not about the drying time of the alcohol. That's not what we're going for. So, because these are questions that people will ask. Okay. And then we are working on our Yasutomo 9x12 sketch rice paper pad. This is important because the rice paper is highly absorbent, so it's going to suck up all the wet moisture that we spray and apply to the plate. If you were to use another paper that was not so porous and not so absorbent, you're not going to get the same effect because this paper soaks the color all the way through. It soaks it up like a paper towel, so that's kind of cool. All right, so that's what we're using for this effect. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work from light to dark, as I typically do. So I'm going to start with the lightest color on the bottom. Remember that the gold is going to be for an accent on the top. So of these three colors, I'm going to start with the teal, then I'm going to go to the magenta, then I'm going to go to the anthracnone blue. All right, so first we're going to spritz the teal. And you want to get good coverage, but you also want to allow it to bead up and do its thing so you have a speckly effect. So you don't want to go too heavy. So that's probably a pretty good example of it. It's got spray. Here, we missed this corner. There. Across the majority of it, but it's not a super heavy.
It's not puddling.
No, it's not puddling, and it's leaving some spaces in between. So we're going to take the rice paper, the smooth side is what's going to go down into the paint. So we're going to put the smooth side down and we're going to print this. And you're going to see how absorbent it is because it's pulling the paint right through to the other side of the paper. That's the rice paper at work. All right. So we're going to pull that and we have a nice speckly lower sheet. And as far as cleaning things up goes, I can press this onto our non-stick craft mat desktop over here and basically pick it up like a paper towel so we don't have to wipe it off and waste it. How do you like that?
Well, there'll be no wasting.
There'll be no wasting. Look at that. And it'll help keep the whole surface clean. So there we go. And we're cleaning around and we got a little bit more paint. So the spritzing is what's giving you these speckly effects, which is totally different than if we were to roll this paint out on the gel plate and print it like we typically do for a smooth effect. So we're starting to build the speckly effect. All right, so now we are going to go for the magenta. I'm gonna spritz it and Barb is gonna flick the alcohol into it. And I'm gonna stand back when she does that because she's wild woman with the alcohol.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm going a little heavier with this, as you can see. A little bit heavier because the alcohol is going to push it and disperse it and move it. So I'm going to give it a little bit more paint to work with.
So what I'm going to do is pour some of this in my hand and I'm going to wing it.
Woo, look at that.
Elizabeth has been after me. Can you make more curvy shapes?
Yeah.
I'm lucky I can make what I make. All right.
Okay,
so there we
look
go.
at
so
that.
We've got some nice movement going
Nice movement going there, including on the desktop.
Hey, I aim to please.
So check this out. I mean, as far as the desktop goes, I'm just going to take this other piece of paper and do this again, because why waste the paint, you know? We can definitely use
It's a start of something.
this for a base layer for something else instead of just picking it up with a paper towel and throwing it out, right? So look at that. That's kind of fun.
And who has more fun than us?
Yeah, right? So, and then this, yeah. So anyway, it's something for your overspray. Okay, so I gave that a few seconds while I dabbed up the overspray to let the alcohol kind of work and move the pigment. And then, so before we print this, now we're going to take the anthracnone blue and spray it into the alcohol and into the magenta. And, you know, we've done this multiple times in preparation for this video. And every single time we've done it, we get different results. So you need to know that it's not a science, right? So it's going to be different every time. But you can see the beading and the separating from the alcohol. And now we're going to take the teal sheet and print. And again, wow, look at that soak all the way through to the back. Okay. And we get this beautiful marbled effect with the magenta, the anthracnone blue, and the teal base layer.
It almost reminds me of a night sky. If it were darker, it would definitely look like a night sky. It just, as you said, you can't reproduce these results. They're going to look similar, but you're never going to make the same thing twice.
No, because here, check this out. Now, granted, this is wet, so it looks a lot darker because it's wet, and it's soaking wet, right? Because the color went all the way through the back, so you have to let it dry. But here's the ones we did yesterday. This one, exactly the same steps, exactly the same colors. So, but again, that's going to dry a little bit lighter. But one that's similar to that in coverage that we did yesterday is this one, and it dried to that. And I remember this one being pretty dark, right? Like that. So it's dried. We've got that. We've got this one where we got a real good curve with the alcohol. And here's an example of a pink base, kind of a base layer sheet, and another teal base layer sheet. And then another option is to gel print on top. So to use this as a base layer and then maybe add some stencil patterns on top. We did that yesterday. And then lastly, on this one, you can see the gold shimmer. So on this one, we added the gold at the end on top. So I will just take the gold mister and give it a few spritz directly onto the paper, as heavy or as light as you want. And then when that dries, it's gonna have that same shimmer effect as this one. And we are using the bright gold fine, iridescent gold fine. But as far as metallics for a little shimmer at the end, you can also, golden also has copper, bronze, silver, and 2 different golds. So you have a lot of metallic shimmer options for at the end. So, and I just want to let you know that when you incorporate alcohol in and pigment together, the alcohol causes staining on the plate. So when I wipe this with a wet paper towel, I still have the color on the plate. So if this bothers you, it does not affect the functionality of the plate at all. But if it bothers you, the staining, then I always like to recommend that the way to get it off is a little baby oil and a soft paper towel, and you just rub that. This also conditions your plate. It's good for your plate because the baby oil is mineral oil, which is what is infused into the plate in the first place. So this is going to take off all that staining, and it's also going to condition your plate at the same time. So it's a 2-for-1, and then you're back to clean.
When you put High Flow Acrylics in a bottle and spray the way Elizabeth did, you can create some really interesting effects on the gel plate, and that's a wonderful thing. But don't lose sight of the fact that you can spray these like you would a typical dye-based spray. The difference is going to be that when you use a dye-based spray and you try to put gel medium over it, the color is going to pick up and move. With a permanent color like the High Flow Acrylics, that's not going to be the case. So this is Elizabeth's, one of her peacock, from one of her peacock collections. It's named Feather Repeat. So let's just play with it here on a big old tag. So for example, if I wanted to, let's use the teal. If I wanted to spritz this and then fold it in half and make a card, I could do that. Or if I wanted to make a big tag for whatever whatever reason. All right, so that one, there we go, is being difficult. But what you can do is now you have this pattern.
I love that.
I know, right? I wasn't even thinking about the peacocks and the colors, but it worked really well.
I love it because it has a spray paint effect.
Yes.
That you just don't get with the stencil, with the gel plate. It's just different.
Yes, and different is always good. I mean, we like different, right?
Yeah.
So you have this, if it's outside and it's not in a journal, you can be comfortable knowing that this is not going to fade because it is fade resistant because it's light fast. So if I wipe this up, now there's a little bit of spray on here, but it doesn't make any difference. I'm gonna do the same thing, except this time I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna print a little bit of blue that's on here. And we'll see how much that actually turns out to be. Let's grab a piece of paper towel. And then I'm gonna spray through the stencil with the pink just to make it look a little bit different. The difference here, as I mentioned a moment ago, is that when I do this on a piece of this rice paper, if I wanna tear this up and I wanna use this as collage fodder and I want to apply it to a journal page, then I can do that with gel medium or iridescent medium or anything I want. How pretty is that?
Ooh.
And the color's not gonna move. It's gonna be stable because these are pigment-based products. So whether you spray it on a gel plate or you spray it on a journal page or you spray it on a piece of rice paper so that you can tear it up, spraying these things is a good thing.
Okay, so Barb has offered to give me all of her spritz and sprayed papers and tags so I can put them in my artwork because they look like spray paint, and I love that, right? You did, right?
Yes, I did say that. I did take a couple.
I just put her on the spot.
Working on something else, but mostly you can have them. I mean, I have ideas, and you'll see videos coming directly from me about some ways that I'm going to use prints and stuff that is very different from what you do. But I'm very happy to give you all of these and some of the wet strength tissue ones that we did, and you can use them in your artwork.
She's so good to me.
You're good to me. It works. You know, we just like each other a lot. It's a fun thing that we're very lucky to work with each other. At least that's how I feel.
I think so too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right then. Well, on that note, we'll see you back here next week.
Bye.
Bye.